Without further ado, please join me in welcoming back to the stage the directors of Battle of the Sexes, Valerie, Faris, and Jonathan Dayton.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we don't have a lot of time, but we have to really start by honoring the woman who started it all, Billie Jean King. And let's welcome the rest of our cast, Emma, Steve,
and Simon.
Simon, our screenwriter. Everybody, come on back out. Bill, it's so special for us to be together. We haven't been together since we made the movie like this, so thank you all for coming. And we'll just do a few questions because everyone has to run off. But
So I would normally start this by asking a question of the filmmakers, and I hope you'll forgive me for going straight to Billie Jean King. I think everybody would love to hear from you and just what it was like to see your story on screen and how you were involved in putting it together.
I wasn't involved that much. I'll tell you who I spent the most time was with the writer, Simon Beaufoy, right here. Academy Award winner, writer for Slumdog. He was very nice to me. I about killed him one day. I was like 10 hours straight, and he's giving me bad time now forever. But and then I spent time with you, but not too much, and a little bit of time with Emma, a little. And I think I saw Steve one day. No, he's asking about Bobbi, rightly so, because I know every character in this movie, but I can't tell you what an honor it is to have you here tonight to share this experience. But what made it so extraordinary is that every single person, from the writer to the director to everybody involved, we call ourselves Team Bots, Team Battle of the Sexes, and everyone brought all of themselves to this film, and it really shows. And each person, each character is just, they got it right. They just got it right. But it was authentic, it was accurate, it was an amazing experience, and it was very hard for me to watch, but I just would like to thank everyone. And of course, I have to particularly thank Emma for having to go through everything that I went through. So, but everyone, it's just been extraordinary, and I'm very blessed, and I know I'm a lucky girl. So thank you very much.
Next, I'm going to go to the both of you, Valerie and Jonathan. And you mentioned in your introduction that some of the themes in this film are still very relevant today. Can you talk a bit about why this project was important for you to make and how you came to be attached to it and work with Simon?
well, it began with just loving Simon's script and feeling, its importance way back in 2015. We had no idea we'd be in these particular circumstances, but I think these issues will always be important. I think it begins with fairness, as Billie Jean always talks about. Just equality, but really fairness for everyone.
And I think we were just moved by how Billie Jean, with all the pressure she was under and everything she was going through at the time of this movie, had the strength to still fight for women's equality and also to, go through what was really a search for her kind of authentic self. And, having all that pressure and still standing, believing in your truth, that was really moving to us. And I hope that comes through in the film.
Next, I'd like to go to Simon. I'm curious if this was a film that you'd always wanted to write. Are you a tennis fan, or what drew you to the
I'd never
material?
come across this story before. I'm a little bit too young to have been there in '73, I like to think. But it was the most amazing combination of sport, politics, and an extraordinary personal journey, which to me just had everything you would ever want to write about. And the greatest privilege was that Billie allowed me and the rest of the filmmakers to tell the most incredibly personal story. I mean, she showed huge trust in us to allow us to tell the world her intimate story. So thank you very much for that, because that's a great honor.
I'd like to hear from some of the actors on stage, maybe starting with Emma. This is obviously must have been, you must have been under a lot of pressure to portray someone like Billie, and all of you portraying real people, and wondering if you can talk a little bit about your preparation process and working with the people that you could.
No pressure at all, no. Billie Jean's not an icon. That's okay. That'll be fun. No, it was my first time playing a real person, and that person happened to be Billie Jean King, which of course is inherently, no one can live up to Billie Jean King. So I knew that going in. But I sat with Billie Jean. We were able to talk about things. She was so warm and open and supportive, and said instantly, I will respect whatever your process is. I'm here if you want to talk, whatever you need. And she took me to the tennis court and threw balls basically at me because I was learning footwork and I was following the ball, and she was so, it's true. And she was so, she's such a good coach, and she instantly keyed in on where my strengths lied. Yep. And Alana, her partner, is unbelievable, and they just were so welcoming to me. And then I quickly kind of realized something I didn't know, which was that the closer I got to her, the more I was going to fear really, really letting her down. And I was saying this earlier today, and then I realized none of the fear went away, so I don't know what I was doing, because it just stayed the same, of letting her down, and she was incredibly reassuring. But I also realized that watching footage of her at age 29 and reading articles in that time frame without the benefit of her hindsight, what is happening?
Sorry. I didn't do anything. I wasn't drawing attention. I had to take a shit. And no, I'm kidding. I had to pee, but I thought that would be funnier. And it took so many people. I'm so sorry, Emma.
I'd love to throw this to Sarah. So, like, how did it go?
It was good.
Where was I? So without the hindsight, it's not going to be as interesting anymore. Never mind. No. It was just nice to watch footage from that time without the kind of, understanding that she has now, the struggle and all of that. And I'm really, really glad that you feel better.
Maybe we'll let you pass the mic now to Steve, if that's okay. Sorry, maybe you would, if you could talk a little bit about how you prepared for Bobbi's character.
Well, when Val and John first asked me to do it, they promised that I would do a nude scene. And I was like, that's all I want.
And you trained.
So thank you.
And you trained for 4 months for that nude scene, right? Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is the case. He's an interesting guy, and I got to work out a lot with Lorne Cool, who was his coach and one of his best friends. And Lorne would come up a few days a week for about 3 months, and we'd play tennis and talk about Bobbi. And he was, he was a hustler. He loved the action, but he was a good man, and he was an intelligent guy, and he was a superior athlete. And he wasn't what I think he projected to be in the public eye. He created this image of this horror show, really. And he really took a page out of Muhammad Ali's book. He created this persona that he knew would stir up interest. He knew it would ruffle feathers. And I'm sure Billie Jean could speak to this much, much better than I could, but he didn't seem like he had a foot in politics. It was really about making money and about self-promotion. And I just thought he was a really endearing and interesting guy.
One of the things I like best about the film is all of the different people's stories that you see, and I think there's such attention paid to each character in the film. And I'm wondering, and I particularly found that to be the case with Bobby's story and his wife's story at the time. And I'm wondering, Elizabeth, maybe if you could speak to what this role was like for you. And
I guess what I really respected in Priscilla was her ability to forgive and to accept somebody she deeply loved. And it was very easy for me to play that part because I felt Steve's performance was so wonderfully innocent and loving. Even though he was a male chauvinist pig, he really was not that person. He knew he was playing that game for a reason. And thank God he played that game, or we would not have this moment in history. So I just, my job was very easy because of your performance. It's very easy to love you.
Okay, yeah, you're welcome.
okay, we have time to throw it to the audience for a couple of questions, so make them good, make them count. Okay, I'm going to go to in the middle here. You're wearing glasses with a white collared shirt on.
I thought the tennis scenes were so authentic and spectacular. The mannerisms of Billie Jean and the mannerisms for Bobbi were exactly as I remember them. I'm seeing her quick. Wow. Did you actually do those scenes? Were there other folks that played? Because it was so authentic.
The question is about the tennis scenes in the film and just how authentic they look and how real they feel. And wondering if you could talk a little bit about the filmmaking and decisions behind those scenes.
Well, they're not playing all of the tennis. Yeah. Steve played a lot, and Emma played some, but we did have body doubles or tennis doubles who were pro players, because it really mattered to us that there was some great tennis in the movie and that you could actually watch an entire play. And
What Val is trying to say is we played all the tennis.
Okay, do we have another question in the audience? Anybody in the balcony before I come to the front? Okay, just in the white shirt, go ahead, second row.
What do I think about Serena's response to McEnroe? I don't know. What did she say? And I'll tell you. I'm not sure what I'm not sure exactly.
I think we'd actually like to keep the questions about the film, if that's okay.
I will tell you that John McEnroe has been trying to get a match with Serena for 15 years, and so he keeps trying. And women have never said we're better than the men, ever. If you notice in the movie, I said that. So it's the men who keep bringing it up. So keep bringing it up. We're not better than you. We know it. You have androgens that we don't have, and can we move on? We're just as entertaining, or can be. Sometimes we're more entertaining, they're less. It doesn't matter. We're all in this together, and that's all that matters.
Okay, yes, just down the aisle here.
She has a mic, right?
The question is for Sarah, and what do you like doing better, your stand-up or acting in feature films?
Well, stand-up is more immediate, and like stand-up is just like who I am. But I like dipping my toe in acting whenever I am allowed to, and that's fun too.
Well, this was a very fun film to watch and very fun to have you all here. So thank you so much for coming. Congratulations. Thank you for being here.
thank you.